Very Merry Christmas, a joyful cheer. A very Merry Christmas, oh, let me hear. Yes, very Merry Christmas, without old tears. Every night, every day is a happy holiday. A very Merry Christmas to you. Very Merry Christmas, oh, we'll have this year. Very Merry Christmas, I keep so near. Every light, every soul from every friend that comes along. Very Merry Christmas to you.
Sleigh bells are ringing out by the sea, sending a message of love and sympathy. I've been waiting by the phone, and this song will meet you at the door. This Christmas will be something unreal. Baby, I'm falling under your charm. All I ever wanted, got you wrapped up in my arms, and we'll stay up all night, and the fireside is blazing bright. This Christmas will be something unreal. Darling, you saved my heart, just as I thought I was falling apart. I'll be on your side forevermore. Under the mistletoe, I'll be just fine when you knock on my door. Kiss me, darling, don't be shy. It's you that I adore. I will try hard just to keep you, so keep on smiling. That is what I'll do. When Hollywood is firing, we've conquered problems, solved our fears. This Christmas will be something unreal. Darling, you saved my heart, just as I thought I was falling apart. I'll be on your side forevermore. Under the mistletoe, I'll be just fine when you knock on my door. Kiss me, darling, don't be shy. It's you that I adore. Sleigh bells are ringing, I've heard them before, sending a message that Christmas is at the door. I've been waiting by the phone, and there is nothing we can't do. This Christmas will be something unreal.
is a part of me. Yeah. Christmas is a part of me. Oh, yes it is. Christmas is a part of me. Oh, yeah. Say, ooh, Christmas is a part of me.
Rudolph, my dear, the forecast ain't clear. So will you please light my way and lead this old man's sleigh? I said, Rudolph, my friend, once more will you lend your red nose, or heaven knows how this sleigh ride will end. Rudolph, my man, you're the only one who can save the day. Say yea or nay. Now will you pull my sleigh? Oh, Rudolph. Rudolph, my boy, now don't you act so coy. Let us go and fill all the little children's hearts with joy. Rudolph, my dear, you know the forecast ain't clear. So will you please light the way and lead old Santa sleigh? Yeah, lead old Santa sleigh. Come on and lead old Santa sleigh. Hey, let's do it one more time. One more time. Yeah. Yeah. Somebody help me now. Hold on, I got one more. Rudolph, pretty please, don't be such a tease. Let's have some fun and go make this a Merry Christmas for everyone. Merry Christmas for everyone. Merry Christmas for everyone.
Hi, how's it going? Oh no. Okay, I think things are all right. It's too late. It's too late now to change anything. I have to just be this way. Actually, I'm going to, as people arrive, for the show, I'm gonna fix one little thing. But I can talk to you while I'm doing that, and that's no problem. I mean, I'm a pro. I'm a pro at this stuff. How are you doing? I hope you're doing well. We think all of these things are fine, and then, they're not, but then they are. Okay, happy Saturday night. It's Saturday Night Live. in its way, We're here, we're live, it's Quilt Nerd. Tonight, I'm going to start out by telling you what the show is about and why it exists and why you should watch it. You should watch it because if you're a person like me and a person like the people who tune into this show regularly, for the 4 months it's been in existence, you're probably a person who is, curious about things. The people who are specifically interested, sort of seek this show out, and the person who hosts this show, which would be me, we're curious about quilts. And quilts, they're not just pretty blankets. They're actually, when you start looking at them closely, they are a portal. I'm always looking for the right metaphor. It's like, are they a portal, a window, a magic carpet? No, I don't like that at all. But, I'm looking for the perfect word, right? They're a pathway. They provide a path to the whole world. They give us an opportunity to look specifically at points in history where stuff was happening. And the funny thing is about history is that it's always happening. It's just always been happening. So you look at a quilt from, 1800 in England, and you start learning, the Bronte sisters. Yes, Wuthering Heights, Jane Eyre, those Bronte sisters, they made a quilt. Did you know that? Some of you know that because myself and Jenny Smith taught a workshop all about it. We went to the Bronte parsonage in Yorkshire, and we looked at this quilt that the frickin' Brontes made. And what that gave me an opportunity to do was to learn about, England and like the Bronte family, right? Because I gave a lecture about it, And it was amazing, these people. Their mother died in the parlor. Emily Bronte, who wrote Wuthering Heights, died, and I saw where she died. I didn't mean to take it to this dark place about death, but I read the books, Jane Eyre, Wuthering Heights. I had never read them, but a quilt gave me the opportunity, the reason to do it. Hey, Robin, thank you so much for following. I appreciate you. So, this is just one example. I think last night I talked about, the civil rights movement. We're going to talk about Lee Bendolf tonight, one of the most famous quilt makers to come out of the Gee's Bend, Boykin, Alabama area. She's a genius, American artist, it's just, she's amazing. And when you look at the time in which she lived, and she's still alive, but she, in the time in which she was making a whole lot of work, it was Martin Luther King visited her town in 63. So, it's all of this, there's so much material, so to speak, right? When you're looking at quilts, and I grew up around quilts, and I love them. I make them myself. I love to make them. I was sewing last night. And it's just great, but and you don't ever, if you're a quilt maker, and there are 18 million of us in the U.S. alone, somewhere, even if it was half that, I have good sources for this, this data, but there's between 15 and 18 million at any given time. And I think the pandemic, which has now descended upon us, well, it's just doubled down, thanks. More and more people are doing stuff at the machine, the sewing machine. More people have a sewing machine. There are people in our show chat who weren't sewing for a while, but then picked it up again during the pandemic, and said, I've returned to my quilt making. So there's these millions and millions of people who do it, and it's we're interested in all this stuff, but you don't ever have to be a quilt nerd. You don't have to be nerdy about the history of this stuff or the culture of this stuff. You don't have to ever be to enjoy making quilts. But if you do look a little bit closer and you look around yourself and see how often quilts come into conversation and media and art, you see how they come into questions of pedagogy. I was looking at different papers. Quilts come into school a lot. Quilts in schools are it's a thing. Whatever you think about the Underground Railroad quilt code moment situation is sort of irrelevant to the fact that many, many teachers use quilts to teach the history of the Underground Railroad, right? They have kids do a little exercises about, quilt blocks leading slaves to safety, and people use quilts to make community projects. the charity projects that, the AIDS quilt being, right, like this, it's the biggest piece of community art that's ever been made. The AIDS quilt at this point is over 64 tons. It weighs 64 tons. It's absolutely 64,000 panels or something like that at this point, stored in a warehouse in Atlanta. I could tell you a lot about it. I'm a quilt nerd. I know a lot of stuff, okay? And, community projects. We did a story for Quilt Folk magazine, the Quilt Folk magazine that I edited for many years, the opioid crisis in Connecticut, right? These people made a quilt, right, to memorialize the people in their families who had died of opioid overdose. I mean, quilts give this, they're just amazing, okay? So that's why we talk about quilts. And we just like to look at pretty shit, because quilts are often really pretty. And sometimes they're very challenging, and sometimes they're not so pretty. It's true. It's okay. It's okay to say that. Not every quilt is, like, meaningful, and not every quilt is even made of fabric. And so we have all of these wonderful, reasons, and we have these great examples of things, that are quilt related that we can talk about. And so we talk about them. This is what we do. And now we're doing it on a Saturday night, and I have so much content for you that I'm a little bit like, what's going to happen? I mean, it's Chicago. I live in London. I live in Chicago right now. It's 10-ish. And I don't know. I took a little nap. This might be a rager. I don't know. Here's what we do. There's a quilt behind me. This is a drawing. Yeah. Quilts in art, right? It's a big deal. So I'm going to talk about that. I just said hello. Well, no, I haven't said hello to anyone. I did the intro first. I want you to go away. Look, my desktop is marred. Okay, now it's clean. I gotta say hi to everybody, and I'll say it again, but later. But I have determined. Okay, I do announcements. There's all kinds of things. Look. Quilt Nerd content plan. Look at that. It's a whole thing. So the major announcement is that I'm not going to Boston with my mom on Tuesday to see the fabulous Fabric of a Nation exhibit there, which totally sucks, but it's also not a hard decision to make. Frankly, it's like a fun trip on a plane to another state to see a show. It's like, well, no, not now. So we're not doing it, which I talked about last night. But so on the schedule on twitch.tv/YoMaryFons on the schedule tab, until just minutes ago, it said live from Boston, time TBD. But now it says live from Chicago or something at 9 a.m. Central. That's right. I'm going to do a morning show. And I was like, well, now that I know where I'm going to be, I can schedule, what time the show on Tuesday, which is the next show that there will be. I mean, this is Saturday night. It's going to be 2 days without me. I mean, can you recover? I hope so. I have to be with me all the time. It's not good. No, it's fine. So yeah, 9 a.m. I was thinking well, I could do a evening show and stuff. But I thought, the week of Christmas, the week before Christmas Day, I'm like, I think more people might need company and might like some quilt content in the morning, because in the evening you have things. I mean, I don't know if your things are canceled right now. We're living with a pandemic, in a pandemic. So I don't know what plans you have that have changed. But I thought it's possible that people are cooking, they're baking, or they're cleaning up or something like that. And that would be sort of in the morning time. Well, let me do my show in the morning, and people can hang out with me while they do stuff, because in the evening they might be visiting. You might have a visit with your family or your friends. So 9 a.m. Tuesday. Oh God. So that's what's up with the schedule. Yeah. The other announcement is that I was gonna have a visual for this. You always need a visual. Yeah. Let me do this channel. Schedule. Yes, this is my schedule. About. Oh, there. That I hate that. Wow, I hate that. So yeah, if you look. Oh, I gotta get small. If you go to my channel on Twitch and you click on the About tab, account will probably look better than it does if I was really good at self-promotion and selling things. Some people are great at selling things, and I think it's not just that they are, I mean, they're just, they make it kind of they have no shame. And it's a good thing. They're like, hey, this is my thing, you should sign up for this, subscribe to this, da-da-da. I just can never do it because I'm just bad at it. So I have to force myself to do it. So I'm forcing myself to say right now that on my About page, ooh, there's these little buttons. It's so cool. I made them myself. There's my YouTube channel. Look, they all have quilt backgrounds. Do you see this? You see? It's the details. My Instagram page, my Facebook page, and a donate button. So these 3 things will take you to, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and then you should subscribe, and you should like, and you should do all those things, because you know what? It really matters. It really does. It matters. And then there's a donate button. And you can subscribe to this channel, which would be great. $4.99 a month. Don't have to watch ads. You support the work that I do. I love it. And if you're an Amazon Prime member, you have a free Twitch subscription every month. Oh, I got to get the YouTube people piped into the chat. Hey, YouTube, I see you. I'm about to see you. So, but maybe you don't want to subscribe. Maybe you're like, I don't know. But you could smash that donate button if you've enjoyed this show. If you want to, tip me. Tip me. I waited tables for 10 years in my life. A sum total of 10 years. Okay, and it was a lot, and I loved it. But I don't make tips anymore, and I miss them. Okay, let me do this. Here we go. So now I'm gonna say hi to people who are here, and then the show sort of really begins. Put this in here, and then I can see the people at YouTube. In YouTube, the show was made on Twitch. Twitch is the kind of the HQ, the big. It's the place. It's the main. No. It's the place where most of us hang out, but you can absolutely hang out in YouTube, and I'm glad that you do. Okay, so I gotta say hi to people. I'll do it kind of quickly, just because it's late, and so you know that I love you. If I miss anybody, it's not personal, please. There's like 90 things happening around me right now, but I'm gonna go kind of quickly because it's late and there's so much. I have so much. Oh my gosh, Yvonne is in the chat. You're the first one. You get the first chat award. Raffle Waffle, Bit Palumbo, Word and Bird Nerd. Oh yeah, it's late. It's late on the East Coast. Listen, start a project. Do some sewing. Just kick back. Glass of wine. I've got one. I do. New Elizabeth. Yes. Oh, New Elizabeth. I'm in Chicago. So it's like, it's just Saturday night, It's been great being in Chicago. And all the shows right now are like, they're in America times. Akil is here. NDH. DD Brew Crew. DD Brew Crew, you're back. You came last time. I remember you, and I'm glad you're back. I knew you'd be back. I knew. Bridgewater and VA. I'm so happy. Elaine. It's Elaine, right? No, you're not Elaine. Okay. Raffle Waffle. Okay, I said hello. Holmes, my Holmes. Malrose. You're loving Twitchmas. Me too. Yes, I'm loving you too. M. Hicks. Word and Bird Nerd. Kay, I'm thrilled that you're here. Everybody. Dana Simpson. Autumn Piper. Susan Armichael. Hell yeah. Myra, you're at dinner with friends. Are they watching? Have they subscribed? Have they followed? Yet? Are they just entranced? Are they enchanted? They should be. Robin M, first time chat from a viewer. Hope everybody can put a welcome basket in the chat. Yes, M. Hicks is right there with welcome basket. Padma is here. Wow, okay, cool. LeBron Secret Workshop was definitely the highlight extension of your show. Highlight extension. See, when this show gets to be like, when I'm like beating all the gamers, in terms of numbers, hey, it's not possible. It's absolutely not possible. But with 18 million quilters in America, if everybody tunes in, we could really, it is possible to beat these top gamers on Twitch, right? At their own game. That's the real game. beating these Twitch people at their own game. Anyway, yeah, so when it gets really big, we can have like bonus shows, and there'll be like spin-off shows, and like, you know, Myra will have her own show, and Susan R. Michael will have her own show. It'll be like, it'll be a whole thing. Civvy Mac, Little Bird Stitch, Jill, I know. Jill's a night owl. She feels it. Mother Nature is here. Dee Marie's here. Kelly and our excellent. It's great attendance. It's just great attendance tonight. Okay, Just a Guy Sewing, Akhil. Okay, by the way, Akhil says, I feel weird about self-promoting too. I recently wore my green musical note shirt I made, and I wore several times for probably a year. I received my very first compliment on the shirt last week, and I felt a little awkward. I just said thank you. I could not get myself to add I made it. Oh, God. Like that's like, that's very sweet. But I know. Because, yeah, it's like, if you make a quilt or you do a show, I mean, even when some of you are like, I love the show, it's so great, it's like, I mean, the best thing I could say is like, well, it's a pleasure to do, you know, but I can't be like, thank you. It's great, isn't it? I mean, you just have to say thank you. But to volunteer the information, you know, is weird. It's weird. I don't know. Not for everybody. Some people are thrilled to say, I made it. Would you like to buy one? I can make one for you. These are the people who have, you know, houses in the Hamptons or whatnot. Who cares? Elaine. Yes, Elaine is here. And Robin. Okay, great. I don't know. I look weird tonight. I always think that. So there's always a quilt behind me. A different one every night. And this one, we're going to talk a little bit more about what this image, from where it comes, right? But I had to start with it because it's so amazing. It's so amazing. So we're going to look at this, and then we'll go into more of that later in the show. You'll see what I mean. Okay, so let's take a look at the actual piece. Okay. Oh yeah. Okay, great. Don't read ahead. So here's the problem. The problem is that sometimes I get, I gotta get small. Sometimes I get very excited about, you know, the content. This happens a lot, actually. Those of you who hang around here, you know it. You know, I want to do all kinds of things with this show. And you know what? The reason why we don't have, like, polls ready yet, and why I miss episode notes sometimes, Susan, I see you, is because I get excited about the content. Like, I just want to do that part. And so, for example, tonight, you know, I could have worked on the poll extension so I can say, hey, everybody, I'm going to pop a poll up on the screen and everybody vote. You know, it's not that difficult. But I started looking at content about one thing, and then I grabbed a bunch of content about the other thing. And all of a sudden it's 9 o'clock. I'm like, oh, I can't do the poll thing now. It doesn't make any sense. I have to, you know. So I have to either get help, or I have to force myself to, you know, like stop working on content and start working on like tech stuff, which seems like a real drag. I mean, to a content person like myself, that's like torture, you know. Robin M7, I'm not live every night, but Akhil, yes, you need to speak up about your creations, 1000%. Yes, I'm not on every night, but yep, check the schedule. I'm on a lot right now. Okay, so this quilt is a drawing. And it is a drawing from the National Gallery of Art. Okay? And I'm going to show you a lot more drawings. But first, the thing is, we can zoom in on this. I mean, even zooming in on the person's signature. Look how gorgeous this signature is. Ugh. I love fonts. Fonts, you know, they're great. Edith M. Magnet. Cool word. I mean, cool name. So this is watercolor and colored pencil, okay? And it's like, why does this thing, oh, look at that. Isn't that great? Isn't that so great? And here's the good news. These images that I'm going to show you from the National Gallery of Art, they are, Kelly, you know, listen, Kelly wants to misbehave this Saturday night. She wants to do the drinking game. Well, it's not a shot at tequila, because, no. But if you ever hear It's Not Your Grandmother's Quilt on this show, you do a shot. Which I'm not actually doing the game right now. But anyway. Just forget I said that. This is such a great image. And the thing is, with these images I'm showing you of these drawings of quilts, your mind is, but just prepare for your mind to be blown. If you're tired, wake up, because this is a lot. They're in the public domain. They are fully public domained. So if you should happen to need an image for something, I don't know that commercial stuff is okay, this commercial, but it's all public domain. Okay, so let's look at some more of these and read what it's all about. Oh yeah, oh there's more. Oh is there more? Okay. These, the quilts that I'm about to show you, hold on, no, don't do that. These images are from the National Gallery, as I mentioned, and here is where they live. So they live in a category called the Index of American Design. Okay? This is a drawing. This is a drawing of patchwork, obviously, right? I love Fons. You know what, my mom, but Fons, by the way, New Elizabeth. My mom, there was a point in time early on, many years ago, I think I still lived at home in Iowa, you could send your signature in to a company, and they'd make a font, a computer font of it. And of course she called it Fontsy. It's pretty good. It was her handwriting, you know. Anyway, so yeah, the Index of American Design. Look, I'm going to show you this. I printed this off because, you know, I like the paper narrative stuff. I'm going to read this to you and flip through the many, many images I have in this style, okay? This is from the National Gallery of Art in Washington, D.C. Okay, part of the Smithsonian, right? Right? No, it's the National Gallery of Art. Yeah, okay. Conceived as an effort to identify and preserve a national ancestral aesthetic, the Index of American Design comprises 18,257 watercolor renderings of American folk and decorative art objects from colonial period through 1900. A federal art project, FAP, work relief program during the Depression, executed between 1935 and 1942 by approximately 400 artists under the direction of Holger Cahill, Cahill. Oh yeah, and I put this one in here just to show you. They did all of these objects. I mean, little statuettes, chairs, cushions. I mean, and quilts, right? And quilts, and coverlets. I put these in here too. Okay, this visual archive of, quote, a usable past, documented wood carvings, textiles, whirligigs, weather vane. It's watercolor, people. It's watercolor. Ooh, look how pixelated this is, right? You know, weaving was the first computer. the looms were our computers, basically. I'm dead. I can't believe it. Sorry. Wood carvings, textiles, whirligigs, weather vanes, and other objects from 34 states in 6 regions of the U.S. The West Coast, Rocky Mountains, Midwest, South, I'm dead, New England, and New York. Objects depicted came from a variety of sources: public institutions, local museums. I'm sorry. I mean, this is what the show's about, right? I interrupt myself, we talk, I look at the chat, and we freak out. We nerd out, right? The show is called what it is, Quilt Nerd. So, I mean, we look at quilts a lot, and we make them, many of us, not all of us. Some people aren't even quilt people who are in this chat, who watch this show. They just stumble upon it and they're like, wow, this is like, I'm really interested. Like, I know, we know. You're welcome. So this looks like a quilt. It's really very, very, very realistic. I don't know. Okay, let's keep reading. Public institutions. So they were looking at samples of things from public institutions. Raffle Waffle. So when were these made? They were all made between 1930. These pictures were made between 1935 and 1942. It's part of a works relief program, right? Like the WPA. This was the FAP, the Federal Art Project. Okay, work relief program during the Depressions, because that was when Roosevelt was like, we got to give these people some jobs. So it was amazing. They hired artists. Oh my God. Like, we don't talk about politics here. I don't care. I don't want to know. Don't even, we're not going there. But like, it does seem awesome that the government was like, let's, like the TVA, the Tennessee Valley Authority, they built dams in Tennessee. The government helped arrange for, people to have jobs, to make money, and like not starve, and their families could eat. And they built dams in Tennessee, which was constantly flooding, and no one could really ever get, a leg up on life or the economy, right, of Tennessee, because everything kept flooding all the time. So they built the dams, right? The Tennessee Valley Authority built dams. And so this, and quilts were made. Actually, there's a whole thing. Mary Kay Waldvogel, who I worship at her altar, right? This great quilt historian, did a whole bunch of research on the quilts of the WPA. There were quilts that were made, like en masse. Women were hired by the government to sew quilts and sell them. Basket weaving. Okay. So the Index of American Design became a source of inspiration for artists and sought to sustain. Sorry, I have so many images, like I need to hurry up. So look, this white work, look, the Index became a source of inspiration for artists and sought to sustain a distinctly American visual lineage, especially with regard to the generation of new industrial American design. Yeah. Yep. I'm seeing, yeah, great stuff in the chat. Okay. Yeah, right, exactly. Okay, so in addition to Cahill, the primary advocates for the project were scholar Constance Rourke, who served as editor, okay, gallerist Edith Halpert, who collected and sold American folk art, believing it was the aesthetic antecedent of American modernism. Quilters hear that a lot. We anticipated abstract art designs. We did it before Rothko and Yves Klein and all that. I don't know that he was American. Anyway, at her downtown gallery, Halpert also represented modern artists like Stuart Davis and Charles Sheeler, whose work she felt demonstrated this visual affinity. By contrast, most watercolorists depicting these objects for the Index had been commercial artists and illustrators. and their renderings are primarily distinguished by a high degree of technical proficiency. Yeah. They took between 2 and 10 weeks to produce meticulous images that Cahill considered more successful than photographs. Someone just mentioned photographs. Cahill considered them more successful than photographs at capturing, quote unquote, the essential character of their subjects. Look at this. I found this one. Okay, I'm going to show you the website in just a second. The stitches used in Crazy Quilts. They cataloged them. They drew them. And I love this, that Cahill's like, yeah, we can take pictures, but this work, represented by the hand, is actually the point. It's like that really conveys the aura, right, of the whole thing. Just one more bit about this, and then we'll just look at more of these. Drawn by William P. Sherwood, Westchester County. I mean, yeah, like this is better than a photograph, right? It's just better. As the culmination of the project, the watercolor renderings were meant to be organized by subject, published in portfolios, and widely disseminated. Although only one portfolio dedicated to Hispano work was produced, more than 50 contemporary exhibitions of these works, I didn't know that, appeared in museums, department stores, and federal art centers around the country. Federal art centers, interesting. It was through these popular exhibitions that the Index of American Design and the folk art it depicted became known to the American public. Whoa! Oh, that's very interesting. By the early 1940s, with unemployment significantly easing, the project was terminated. And in 1943, at Cahill's urging, the newly founded National Gallery of Art became the permanent repository for the index. So there's these wonderful drawings. I know, M. Hicks, they totally, hey, Quiltish, I'm so glad you're here. This is great. Look how they, look at that fabric. They did, okay, we just pause and say, that's like a chambray looking material, okay? And then there's, the plaid, like the shot cotton or whatever, this little plaid moment. It's watercolor. I mean, I don't know. That's pretty good, It's pretty good. Anyway, there's so many of these photos. Oh, yeah. I almost had this one as the background tonight because, look at that. But then I thought it was a bit busy. I think about these things very hard. In fact, the intro quilt in this show, content-wise, is kind of the hardest part, to be honest with you, because I have to have a very high-resolution photo, whatever. It has to be like, hello, welcome to the show. So I almost did this one, but I thought it was a little much. But when you know, and you wouldn't have known at the time that it was this watercolor painting, or maybe you would have. But anyway, there's my backstage notes. So they also did fabric swatches, okay? Painting these fabric swatches, which is interesting because at this time, fabric was illustrated. The artists who were designing fabric were hand drawing most of it, right? Which is interesting. But just look at the way, this wonderful detail. It's so great. Loose threads around the edge. Oh, wait a minute. Padma is an observant person. And we will see. I did not notice. Oh, it's true. Oh, there's little threads. Oh, I'm dead. I can't believe. Really though? What? It's so like my heart is tender, and like, because someone cared that much, you know, about anything. I mean, not just about quilts. Hey, we have a gift Prime subscription. Savvy Mac, thank you so much. Gifted a tier 1 subscription to Quilting Time. That's so awesome. Thank you so much. And Quilting Time, welcome to the Quilt Nerd Club. I mean, we have a lot of fun, and we obviously get very excited. So if you like to come to a place where people are like really excited about something, then that's great. Yeah. So someone cared a lot about a quilt block. I mean, at the very basic level here, this is a quilt block, right? I mean, that is what is depicted. It's just a block. It's not a quilt. We don't know who made it, you know, but this person rendered it. Frank Mara rendered it so carefully that, as Padma pointed out, there are loose threads from the fabric being cut. Oh, yeah, a crazy quilt piece. It looks like the embroidery that it was, you know, I don't know. So here's the problem. So I started getting the shirting prints are my favorite. I don't know if I've ever said this on this show, but shirting prints are my absolute favorite fabric, period. Point blank, period. I love them. And yeah, Kelly, totally. I love shirting prints. Mill engravings. So at the time, a lot of shirting prints were produced, even some of the classic ones that have been reproduced for our time were engravings, you know. And mill engravings are my favorite. Oh, actually, I'm going to write down on the notes section of my Quilt Nerd content plan. Wait. Notes. Mill engravings. I want to do a section, some content on mill engravings. So anyway, yeah, some of these are going to be that anyway. Yeah. Whoa, what's going on here? What's happening here? I don't like that. Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, just more of these. So the problem was, as I was saying, is that I had to stop, you know, getting these. I had to stop pulling them down because there were so many wonderful images that I didn't want to stop, you know, pulling them for you. But I had to stop at a certain point. Okay. So now I'm going to show you, how many do I have here? Sorry, I just have, whoa. Oh, this is the second to last one. Poison green, by the way, which has been mentioned on this show before. Poison green is this particular color of green that used arsenic to make it, right? That was not good. People died. People died because of the poison green. Look how like 8-bit this looks. Isn't this appropriate for Twitch? Isn't that nice? 8-bit pixelated things. So yeah, so poison green actually poisoned people, but it was all the rage. And so they were cataloging this and drawing all of the art. I mean, wow. And the last picture I have for you from this set is this. I thought this was great. You know, the quilt on the bed, right? It's like if you are an alien, you know, coming down to Earth, and it's like, okay, these are great drawings. What is the deal? It's like, well, each block that you saw, there were many of them, and they were stitched together, and then you put them on a bed, and that's where you would sleep, you know. And aliens would be like, what's sleep? And we'd be like, it's very hard to explain. We don't really know why we have to shut down for like ideally 8 hours a day, but we do. So yeah, so this is the deal. And let me show you where you can find this stuff, because oh wait, hey, hang on, I gotta say hi to Paul. So sorry, Robin McKay is in YouTube. I'm so sorry. You're completely like, everyone is on the same you know, level of like, I just forget about the YouTube part of it because it came later and I'm still getting used to it. But Paul and Robin and Denise from Canada and Peanut from California and Kathleen and other Robin. There's 2 Robins. YouTube is full of Robins. There's Robin McKay and there's Robin Fiskin. I'm really glad you're here. Sorry I didn't say hi before. My oversight. So here is National Gallery. Here's where you find this. National Gallery of Art. Interesting. Hold on. So there's 465 drawings that come up when you search quilt on the National Gallery of Art website. So now I'm going to bring this up and show you what I mean. It's kind of overwhelming, and that, like I said, I had to stop pulling images for you. But so you go to the National Gallery, nga.gov, National Gallery of Art.gov, and enter the word quilt, okay? And you get 481 results. And look, 17 pages of this. 17 pages. And all of these drawings are the first hit. There's 17 pages of this. And like I mentioned earlier, we're going to talk about, so Rosie Lee Tompkins, you might see, Annie Mae Young. We're going to talk about Mary Lee Bendolf tonight because I was on this website looking at quilts from the National Gallery of Art, or looking at the yield of the quilt search. I was like, Mary Lee Bendolf. So we're going to talk about Mary Lee Bendolf later. So what you do is you click on one of these, or you look at advanced search, and you click on drawings. Click on drawing, and you will find a lot of things. So go to the National Gallery of Art website and just scroll through these images of quilts, these drawings, right? And they're just wonderful. And like I said, they're in the public domain. So what that means is, I don't know, use them. I don't know that you can put them on a t-shirt or not. I think maybe you can. I don't know. Put it on a t-shirt. That'd be great. So that's what that is. Okay. Autograph quilt on the bed. I don't know. Hey, Quiltish is from Canada too. Denise, you have a friend named Quiltish who's in the Twitch chat. Okay. Yes, Mother Nature, I'm scrolling back up a little bit through the chat, and says your mom likes shirtings as well. It's true. My mom also likes shirting prints. I like a lot of things my mom likes. I like a lot of things that my mom doesn't like, and vice versa. But with shirting prints, here's what my mom and I like, that we both like. My mom said to me, and if you're just tuning in and you don't know, my mom's a quilter. She's like, she's a quilter of consequence, okay? And she told me, she taught me many great things, but one of the things she taught me is when you move into a new apartment or move into a new wherever, and I've moved a lot in my life to different apartments, she said, make your bed first. Before you really unpack anything or do much, make your bed, because then at the end of the day, when you are dead dog tired, you can get into a nice bed. And that's a pretty good, it served me well, because it's like there's this sanity among, not insanity, but just among chaos, right? And so the bed is important. The bed is really important. You gotta have a bed that you can climb into and feel like, okay, I'm a person, I have a place to sleep. There's a lot to figure out, but I can sleep here, and it's good, So that's good. So I do that. So we have that in common. Not that my mom's moving much anymore, but then also the shirting prints are really great. I don't know why we both. She likes them because, I don't know, she's got kind of a girlish kind of, style a little bit, it's sort of feminine, but not like really, anyway. Shirting prints are just more interesting, I think, to us than just white. Maybe that's it. I don't know. All right, so here we go. Isn't that a great tip, Raffle Waffle? I'm telling you. Did that. Okay, announcements, check. Oh, yeah, this is fun. Okay, this is fun. I have some updates for you. I have updates. So, do you remember when we looked at this picture? The corn. Who could forget it? Who could forget the corn? This is from the Artist and the Quilt exhibition. The weird, bizarre, what was it, 1980? What was it? It wasn't the 70s. It was like 1982? This corn thing looks like the 70s. And maybe it is. I don't know. I've always been bothered by the corn silk in this piece. Sibby Mac gifted a sub to Robin. Robin, you know what? Look how good you fit. You know? The Sibby Mac, thank you so much. Gifting subscriptions is like super cool. It's like a really nice thing to do. It probably feels really good. I haven't done it, but I mean, maybe I should. Oh my God, I probably can. I should. But that's really awesome, and you can enjoy this show and support the show and know that like you're among friends, you know. It's cool. Oh wait, I gotta get small. Oh my God, you can't even see what I'm talking about. I'm talking about this, the corn silk part of the corn. It looks like a horse tail, and I grew up in Iowa. Corn silk, I guess it's pretty dark. I don't know. Anyway, there's a lot going on in this corn quilt. But if you weren't here or you forgot, what's really wonderful about this thing is that the corn part it's a quilt. It's a puff quilt, a yellow puff or biscuit quilt, some people call it, just rolled up and put in the corn husk sleeve. So Sibby Mac, yeah, you better be careful, man. There's a lot going on in this corn. I mean, there is. But it's pretty ingenious though that she did this biscuit quilt, right, in this corn style, corn thing, and then just rolled it up. I think it's fabulous. So I was looking through my books because in London I don't have any of my damn books, but here in Chicago I have like all my books. So I'm looking at these different books. And I see this book, which is one of my favorites. It's so weird. I mean, look at the quilt on the cover. It's crazy. This book is crazy. Okay, you see the scanning work I'm doing? I love it. There's so much to talk about in this book. This was published in Molly Upton. Lots of Molly Upton. What do I have? I've written here. Huh. Interesting. No. 1978. Yeah, 1978. Yeah, Susan, I saw this posted in the Discord. This is a great book. I mean, you know what? I didn't scan this one because I was like, I have too much content tonight to really, because I was like, it's late, people are gonna dip out. But look at this quilt. I didn't scan it because I was like, enough. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? Those women's bodies. It's so great. It's American Beauty with Pocket. Wendy Ross, 1975. Satin acetate. So anyway, so I'm looking through this book. I'm just flipping. I'm like, oh yeah, this is going to be great. I'll get some content from this for sure. Not that I do things like that, like, oh yeah, here's a book, I'll get content from this for sure. But I was just like, oh yeah, this is going to be, wow, there's so much content here. I think that's what I'm trying to say. And lo and behold, what did I see? Ah! It's the corn. It's the corn. There it is. Now here's what's weird. Here's what's really, really weird. Wait a minute. No, it's fine. Okay, I thought it was crediting someone else. But yes, of course, it's Bonnie Persinger. Although she's listed here as Bonnie P. Boudra. Anyway, so now I have more information about this quilt, or this, object. And I wanted to share it with you. So it's unrolled. Unrolled, the quilt is 72 by 55. Cotton, wool, yarn, and batting. Oh, God, I didn't read this till now. Look. Delightful and certainly original. This piece is just too corny for words. So I thought that was great. There it is again. It comes back to us. And housewarming gift, yeah, exactly. That deserves a shot. Probably. What if we did a shot every time someone gifted a sub? This audience is so generous, it could be a lot. Okay. So now, okay. So this is our little aperitif, right, before we go into two amazing women. We're going to talk about two incredible. We're going to talk about Lee Bendolf and Miriam Shapiro tonight. So yesterday, one of my favorite episodes ever, I think. I don't know. It's like Jesse Crimes was really good. Rosie Lee Tompkins was really good. Anyway, and I thought the Quilters newsletter episode was really good because it was so fun. So I mentioned to you that I got an entire year of Quilters newsletter magazines, 1982. Okay, I found on Etsy. And by the way, to the woman who emailed me today, I have my email drafted to you back. Eric and I went out today to do things, and so I haven't, but the answer is yes. I would very much like those issues of Quilters newsletter. Thank you. If you're watching this, I will be talking to you shortly. Yes, thank you so much. Amazing, amazing. They're going to a good home. Let's just put it that way. So the reason that I got these 1982 issues is because there is in my research, right, I have found that in 1982, when Ralph Lauren did his thing with the vintage quilts, right, when he cut up vintage quilts to use for clothes, Quilters newsletter had a little bit to say about it. Yes, they did. Quilters newsletter being the premier publication for quilters at that time, and for 20 years, well, almost 20 years before that. Ralph Lauren was cutting up these quilts, and Bonnie Lehman, the editor of this magazine, was not interested in this. Look at this ad. This is a full page of this magazine. Endangered species, old quilts. Now, in light of what's going on today, which I talk about all the time. Dana, I'm glad you liked that episode. Obviously, this is going to go into my whole thing. But in 1982, look, please save me. Please save me. Hey, honey.
Okay.
Please save me. And then underneath this, it says, help stop the destruction of old quilts which are being cut up to make garments and pillows. Encourage instead the creation of new and original patterns or the recreation of traditional patchwork for fashion and home decoration. Preserve our heritage. Oh! And then on the opposite page, this whole thing, Chris Edmonds. I won't read it all, but help stop the destruction of old quilts which are being cut up to make garments and pillows. The appeal of old quilts is magnetic and undeniable. These works of art offer a warmth that draws generations to them, a warmth to the soul as well as to the body. Because of the resurgence of interest in quilts and their acceptance as an art form, they are being displayed on the wall as well as the bed. It's easy to understand why old quilts are desirable as home decoration and fashion adornment, but the sad truth is that their own popularity is destroying them. The danger began with articles made from old tattered utility quilts, but with growing demand, perfectly preserved quilts are also falling under the blade of scissors. The argument that the quilt is already worn beyond use and so small a part of it is even being preserved may be true for that particular quilt, but it endangers the lives of others. By making a saleable article out of it, we are creating a market for more of the same. Fantastic. So, and it comes up again several times in issues from that year. So that is fabulous. And then this thing down here, Bonnie Lehman, creator, founder, editor of the magazine, wrote a poem about finding an old quilt and going home to cut it up and then stopping because it wasn't right. Amazing. Okay. Corn quilt sculpture, check. Endangered quilts, Quilters newsletter magazine advertisement, check. National Gallery drawings, check. Okay. So now, now we do this. Kathleen. Yeah, Kathleen says we could discuss things like this for a very long time. 1000%. You know what? We can discuss them for a very long time on this show because the show is going to be here for a long time. You know what? Okay. I'm gonna say something really quick. That's possible. It's possible. It's possible that we will do Miriam Shapiro tomorrow. It's possible. Okay. Because I don't know. Because I have something else to tell you. I have something else. And it's, I don't know. Are you good? I mean, yeah, no, I think it's fine. I think it's fine. There's lots of people here and everything. Okay, I just got to read the room, but I can't see anyone or hear anything, but just look into the void. Okay, so here's a mystery. This is a mystery. You ready for this? See, I had all these little bits tonight, lots of little bits. And then these, the National Gallery was a big story, sort of a feature. Magazine editor at heart, so it's like there's the features and there's the sidebars and there's the quickie articles and stuff. So we had the National Gallery of Art, which is it was a feature here tonight in the video magazine that we make. And then Lee Bendolf is a feature, lots of images and things to show you and read to you about her. And then there's Miriam Shapiro, which is a whole thing. So it's like, I don't know. Are we going to go till 1 a.m? I don't know. On the East Coast, it's midnight. So we'll just feel it out, okay? Maybe I need a crisp. So this is for sale. This thing, I love. It's a framed piece of patchwork from First Dibs. Hang on now. I didn't pull up the entry on First Dibs, but I have to find it. It won't be terribly difficult. So this is a piece of patchwork for sale on First Dibs. And yes, here it is. It's called Small Patchwork and Applique Folk Art Textile. It is for sale for, yeah, that almost sounds like it's on sale. No, it's not. It's not on sale. Stop. Oh, it's $3,600. Okay, it's a lot, and I love it, and I want it, and I can't buy it because that's too much money. But and in fact, I even offered. I sent the person an offer, like insultingly low, but and they were like, no, and they were a little snarky about it, and I was like, that's fine, but still, like a year later, it's still for sale, so maybe they should have taken me up on it. So the deal is about this, and it doesn't have a maker, so it says a crazy quilt variation. Hold on, yeah, a crazy quilt variation. This unusual top contains crazy piecework blocks with applique details, including a heart, fish, and 2 figures. A black male and a Caucasian female. The piece may have been planned as a crib quilt or as the medallion centerpiece for a full-size pictorial quilt. Isn't it, Myra? Robin? Word and Bird Nerd says, the odd-shaped peanut-looking object. Maybe a loaf? Loaves and fishes? Oh, yeah. Oh, it really is a peanut. I never even noticed that. Now I love this more. Look, and this looks like a Santa hat. Does it not? Right here. Just saying. It's just fabulous. Okay. So I love this and I want it and I can have it and just like welcome to the world of being a quilt nerd and like looking at auction sites all over the internet. I mean, it's like not fun at a certain point. I mean, it is fun, but it's not. Remember the Dutch, that was wonderful. Remember that thing that I found on some Worth Point or something? It was that wonderful patchwork art that was framed and it was like the windmill. Oh, love it. So I see this and I love it and I have never forgotten it, Etsy, yeah. So then, Lord knows where I was. I was minding my own business and I look, at my screen and I see this. And I'm not saying that it's the same person. In many ways, it's obviously not. Okay, I got to put them side by side. Hang on. But this was completely unrelated to, I'll put it over here, and I'll pull up the other one, and we'll look at them side by side, okay? Because, I need you to get this thing, hold on, gotta get just everybody, just, no, I want you both side by side. Okay, so I'm just saying that it just looks similar, right? And because the first dibs thing has there's no mention of a name, there's no, provenance at all. But this thing had, Philly Museum. Okay, good. I see, sometimes I'm very proud of myself that I actually file name the things properly, right? So we know that this on the right is at the Philly Museum of Art. And the person who made this is Mary Hensley. And I mean, the figure, okay, so look, the figure here in blue, is not, you could say it's not the same gesture. It's actually quite different now that I'm looking at it with you. But I had to show you this because there are similarities to these pieces. And even look at the polka dot. Look at the polka dot material. It really, really looks similar. Are you feeling me on this? See, Padma, that's what I'm saying. The polka dots. Now, there's a way that the blocks are constructed, and that red. And you know what? This polka dot here, this one right here, that isn't the same. Maybe. But this one, and now to be honest with you, but it could be just the photograph. I don't know. This quilt on the right at the Philly Museum of Art looks older. I mean, it's yellowed, but that could be for any number of reasons. This very specifically red, crimson, solid red, and this polka dot material is just kind of uncanny to me. But and even if it isn't the case, right? And the brown polka, exactly. There's brown polka dot too, exactly. And let's see, I feel like there was another sort of Hallmark-ish thing. I was looking in the Philly one for hearts, because there's a heart on this one and things. But no matter what, they're both amazing. And the Philly Museum of Art that has this quilt on the right, I mean, thank goodness they have it, right? Because it's really, really wonderful. Look at this. It's like it's a bunch of quilts together, Like there's this section here, and this eye over here. You see this eye? It may not be, but it sure looks like one. And that there's just one of them. It seems like there is a lot of symbolism, of course. There's snakes, probably a lot of biblical references. There's a cross, down here above my head now. Mother Nature says there are circles in both. And one of the things, and of course, like an appraiser or whatever a textile historian or an analyst could tell us a lot. Oh, there is another eye. Look at this. Now that's a very Egyptian-looking, hieroglyphic-looking eye, isn't it? That's a very, very hieroglyphian style, which is really interesting. But a curator or whatever could take a look and tell us a lot. And really, fabric dating would be the first place to start, right? Because if the fabrics in this particular one are newer than the oldest fabric in the Philly quilt, then we know some things. But yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's really good. Quiltish points out that the one on the right, so the one on the left, the one that's for sale for $100, is done in regular blocks. Now, this is a very, very observant point. These are totally sovereign blocks. And this one over here is not. I mean, even if they are, well, they're units put together maybe, but they're not uniform. These are uniform, and that is different. It's not that the maker wouldn't do that, but it's pretty different. It's just so damn, it just reminds me of it so much. I want it to be the same, and I want to, anyway. So, and the other thing is, not that the person couldn't have made lots of different types of people, but this is these smaller arms of these people. It's a very stylized look, of this little girl and this little boy or whatever, and here this is not stylized, really. Come on, you gonna zoom in on me? No, okay. Anyway, so that's what I wanted to show you. That's that. Little Bird Stitch says the blocks are so carefully organized. Yeah, and the smaller one, could it be a takeoff of the Philly one? Is it actually old? Oh, I didn't look at that. I didn't look at the date. What does it say? 19th century. Circa 1890? I mean, maybe. 1890. I mean, yeah. On the little one for sale. Yeah, okay. This one might even be older than that. I don't know. So anyway, but that's what I got for you. I was just like, and actually for the last 3 shows, I've been like, the thing, like talk about the thing, because that's what I call it. It's like, what's that thing? But I haven't gotten to it because there's been so much other stuff to talk about. So, okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break, and then I know it's late for some of you. For some of you, it's early. I don't know, but it's Saturday night, I scheduled the show at 10 o'clock. I scheduled it at 10 o'clock because I thought, you know what? It's nighttime. It's nighttime. People need content at night. So I'll be right back, and be good, and I'll see you in like 5 minutes, okay? And we'll do Mary Lee Bendolf, who's a genius. So stick around. Okay. Word and Bird Nerd, I saw that. I saw you said waiting and debating about going to bed. The music's very sleepy. I was doing what I needed to do over there, which is talk to Eric and get some more crisp. And I heard the music and I was like, this is not good Be Right Back music. I need to change this, you know. Brunello. Yes, Myra. That's so great. Myra. Listen, I'm not going to lie. You know what? It's like Akhil saying, like, it's really hard for me to say, you know, I made my shirt, and when someone says, you know, I love your shirt, you know, it's hard for me to say, like, thank you, I made this, you know. It's hard for me to be like, Myra, I love you because you ditched your friends for this show. but it's true. I really am glad. But that's awesome. So, yeah. So I got to change some of the Be Right Back. Thanks, Ivana. I got to change some of the Be Right Back music because it is like the fire's, you know, going out and the hearth and, you know, the wassail is... We've tapped out the wassail, and it's time just to go to bed. You know, that kind of Christmas mood. It's not the mood I want. I don't want y'all, you know, tapping out the wassail when I'm on my break, when we're on our break. We all need a break. I want you to be excited to come back. So it's gone. It's gone. It's gone. And Sue Quilting Politic has about 12 inches of binding to finish. Listen, I'm going to take you home. I'm going to take you home on that binding. Ugh, let's get started. Let's not waste any time. Okay, wait. Who is there? Okay, yeah. Okay, so here's what's happening. Gotta get back. You enjoyed the music. Robin's like, I liked it. I thought it was pretty good. This show is very high energy. Maybe the slow sort of jazz, you know, after hours kind of thing is the way to go. I don't know. Everybody has their own taste. I think I'm going to get it popped up a little bit for next time. We'll see. Okay. I pay for the copyright usable music, so I should get everything I can out of it. Okay. So let's go to Mary Lee Bendolf here. Okay. So it was when I was, oh my God, Yvonne is gifting a tier 1 sub to Cotton and Bourbon. Cotton and Bourbon. Wait a minute. I know you. Is it Audrey? No. I know that name. I know that fabulous marketing, you know, thing, that Cotton and Bourbon, right? Audrey? No. I'm so sorry if it's wrong. I'm so sorry. But Cotton and Bourbon, I'm a fan of both things. And there is a quilt maker, you know, who, Cotton and Bourbon. Anyway, I'm glad you're here. Even if you're not that person, what if you're like, I'm a mechanic. I'm a car mechanic. Why do you think I'm a quilt maker? When you put cotton in your name, you know, you might be someone who works with it, you know? You might be a quilt maker. So if I'm wrong, I apologize. But if I'm right and you're a quilt person, I'm thrilled that you're here. Just like I'm thrilled that everyone is here. So Susan is also doing binding. 40 inches. Oh, okay, let's just get going. So this is a gallery show of quilts by Mary Lee Bendolf. Okay. So I have a lot of quilts to show you from the mind and hands of Mary Lee Bendolf. And I'm going to read to you, this was a show from 2021. You know, we have this great Discord where people drop, you know, tips about what shows are going on and you know, quilt shows and exhibits with quilts, you know, in them or quilt-adjacent items, right, to them. But even though, I mean, the Discord only started like 3 months ago, right? The show is 4 months old. The Discord's like, well, like 2 months old. But even all the quilt nerds out there fanning across the globe, looking for awesome tips to share with our community, even we can't get it all. I mean, I didn't know about this show. So it was August 26th to September 25th. That's a pretty quick show. But, and where, oh my God, people are just gifting. Oh, hey, we have a subscriber. Oh, I'm so glad you subscribed. Yeah, Audrey Easery. I thought so. God bless it. I'm so glad I didn't screw that up. Anyway, and by the way, you know what, Audrey, now that we've said we've like completely doxed you in the chat. You don't have to say a word. It's okay. You can just be like, that wasn't me. Because you can lurk at this show. You don't have to ever be in the chat. You can chill. It's cool. So now that we've just really paid a lot of attention to that person who may want to lurk, let's continue. The Nichelle Bocchini, the Nichelle Bocchini Gallery. And I didn't find where it was, but in August, end of August to end of September in 2021, there was this exhibit of specifically Mary Lee Bendolf quilts, okay? So I'm going to read to you from the materials that they put together for this particular show. You'll see images of Mary Lee Bendolf, her quilts on their own, and some pictures from that exhibit. And I'm going to read to you from, like I said, that exhibit, dialectic, discourse, I don't know. I can never remember that word. So, Nichelle Bocchini Gallery is pleased to present Peace of Mind, the first New York solo exhibition by Mary Lee Bendolf, a foremost quilt maker from Gee's Bend, Alabama. On view, by the way, the images that I have for you of the quilts by themselves are not all from that show. I pulled tons of gorgeous Mary Lee Bendolf quilts, and so it's not all about the show, it's about her work. New Liz, you gotta go. Good night, New Elizabeth. Thank you for coming. We appreciate you, a lot. So, on view at this gallery, okay. Earlier this year. On view are 11 quilts of varying patterns and fabric, demonstrating Bendolf's formal mastery, material ingenuity, and aesthetic singularity within the American quilting tradition. Yeah. For generations, women in Gee's Bend made quilts using the materials afforded to them, repurposing remnants of old work clothes, choir robes, feed sacks, faded denim, and found fabrics. And what they don't mention is fabrics given to them by companies like Sears and Bloomingdale's, in the 60s, right? It gets left out a lot that there was more to the story. But anyway, because they were making work to sell in Sears through the Freedom Quilting Bee. Anyway, faded down. Okay, all this in highly unique improvisational designs. This is all Mary Lee Bendolf's work you're looking at. Quilt making, as a textile tradition taught by mothers to their daughters and families to their friends, is a well-practiced vernacular art form within Black communities across the American South. These quilts made in Gee's Bend, however, have come to be known for their stylistic ingenuity, bold materiality, and improvisational use of geometry. In the early 2000s, quilts from Gee's Bend were introduced to wider audiences for the first time in the critically acclaimed exhibition, The Quilts of Gee's Bend, a survey organized by I love this quilt, by the Museum of Fine Arts Houston, which toured nationwide from 2002 to 2008. Hailed and regarded as masters of American abstraction, quilts from Gee's Bend inherently reflect and demonstrate the boundless iterations of the quilting medium. Look at that corduroy. That hot pink. I mean, just formally, it's amazing. It's streak of lightning. Kind of reminds me of that traditional streak of lightning. But just can we just appreciate the hot pink and the brown? It's so good. And then you have this lipstick, sort of lipstick pink. You know what I mean? It's that Mary Kay coral. It's like a coral lipstick over here, and this yellow, this butter yellow. I mean, I don't know. It's awesome. It's just awesome. This command of color, and many of the quilters of her contemporaries, right, who were quilt makers in Boykin and Gee's Bend. It's like an American school of art. There's abstract school or whatever, you know, these different schools of, now I can't think of a single art school. I mean, pattern and decoration movement, which we'll talk about, is a little bit different. But anyway, so there's, you know, there's these moments in like art history in America, and like obviously like the Gee's band quilters of this particular period are just like very big deal. But she and Loretta Petway, and several others have, you know, they're kind of like the superstars of the superstars, I feel like. I don't know. But her use of color and just her placement is just insane. It's so good. Okay, though Mary Lee Bendolf started quilting at a young age and continued throughout adulthood, and if you don't know, a lot of this is work clothes material, so shirts and denim pants and overalls and things, and the color differentiation you see is because the clothes were worn, right? They were worn and used. You can see here that's a pocket. This piece is the pocket of a pair of jeans. So Mary Lee Bendolf has taken apart a pair of denim jeans or work clothes or overalls and then taken the pocket off of the jeans, and you can see the dark of the pocket because the jeans have faded in the sun, but the pocket, you know, covered up that part of the jeans so it didn't fade, you know. So you take the pocket off and you see the original jean material, okay? So Mary Lee started quilting at a young age and continued throughout adulthood. But the rhythm of daily life, in working as a professional seamstress and taking care of her family, often took hold. It wasn't until visiting the Quilts of Gee's Bend in Houston in 2002 that Mary Lee discovered a renewed passion and purpose in quilt making. Wow, I didn't know this. Remember, I gather this material, but I like to discover it with you, so I'm learning this as you're learning it. Most of the quilts currently on view in Peace of Mind were made after this moment, in the early 2000s, in what became, hang on, I gotta go to this gallery. Sorry, you know I got a lot of stuff for you. Look at this. So what they're saying is most of these quilts that were in this show were made after the early 2000s, in what became a robust period of making for the artist. So these are new. I mean, relatively speaking, they're new. How cool is that? Oh, basket of fish. Baby. You have no idea. You better buckle up. And if you hope you can get to 192. We all hope that you live to 192, darling. Okay, so the earliest quilt on view, Bricklayer, and I don't know which ones are which, you know, I don't have all of that. The earliest quilt on view, Bricklayer, made between 1979 and 80. So it said in the exhibit most of the quilts are made after 2000, but not all of them, because they say the earliest quilt on view, Bricklayer, 79, 80, demonstrates Mary Lee's early mastery of the common Gee's Bend housetop or bricklayer pattern, in which rectangles of cloth are stacked or laid on top of one another, forming concentric strips of colored blocks. Oh, look at this quilt on the right. It's so great. Oh, yes. You have everyone's attention. So the design of Bricklayer, like many of her quilts, was inspired by the artist's surroundings. Quote, most of my ideas come from looking at things. Mary Lee described in a 2006 interview. Back to Mary Lee. Quote, quilts is in everything. Sometimes I see a big truck passing by. I look at the truck and I say I could make a quilt that looks like that. I see the barn. I get an idea to make a quilt. I can walk outside and look around in the yard and see ideas all around the front and the back of the house. I love this gallery. This, you know, it's nice. It's like, look outside, you get lots of natural light here. Okay. Farmhouse in honor of Luella. Okay, I'm going to go back over here. Let's see. Okay, there's two more pictures from the exhibit. So here's one. Okay, and then here's another. Now I'm going to go back. I love this one. Now I'll go back to these single ones, okay? And there's a few pictures of Mary herself. Okay. Did we, hang on. Yeah, this is where we were. Okay. Farmhouse in honor of Luella, 2003 and 2005, offer an evolution of this kind of loose geometric patterning. In these quilts, large, broad strips of corduroy and cotton are pieced together with the ends of smaller strips, forming a smooth pattern of alternating color. Look at the quilting on this. I mean, it's like wavy, you know, it's like, it's horizontal here, you know, and wavy, but then it's different here. It's great. For other quilts, such as Mary Lee explodes this method of strip quilting into something more kaleidoscopic. Smaller rectangles, triangles, and wedges of varying colors and fabric, perhaps all that was left over, fit seamlessly together into rainbow compositions. Each quilt, as the sum of their many parts, indexes countless days of the lives that touched, used, or wore their component materials. As Mary Lee Bendolf has described, quote, "Old clothes have spirit in them. They also have love." Okay, there's the jeans again, okay? So Mary Lee Bendolf, born in 1935, still lives and works in Gee's Bend. So 1935. So how old is she if she's basket of fish, then buzz off, dude. How old is somebody if they're born in 1935? Anybody? I don't want to pull the calculator up on screen. I just think there's more interesting things than that. So how old is someone if they're born in 1935? So, okay, so she still lives and works in Gee's Bend, and this was from this year, so this is current information unless she has passed away since this happened. I don't think so. Bendolf has exhibited her quilts in all of the major touring Gee's Bend exhibitions. 86, she's 86, including the Quilts of Gee's Bend. Thank you. Yeah, 86, 87, great. So yeah, the big thing at the Whitney, the Austin Museum of Art. Oh God, dude. How do I know that? I mean, it just, basket of fish. You gotta be cool. Be cool, or you gotta go. You gotta go. Maybe you gotta go. I think I'm gonna make you go. Yeah. I think you gotta go. Unless you're gonna be cool. I mean, like, this is our thing, you know. Like, we like our thing, and so you can't like poop on our thing. Widely, like, it's she is one of those, you know, major artists to come from Gee's Bend, and you know, she's a big deal. And there are other Bendolfs who, okay, here are the gallery ones that I skipped ahead to, so I'm going to skip those now. There are other Bendolf, you know, there's the Petway family, the Bendolf family. I'm trying to think who else in that school, right, has risen to such popularity and acclaim. But Mary Lee Bendolf is a really prominent name there. Okay. And here, okay. And then in addition to that, it has more about her extensive exhibit schedule. I mean, her exhibit history, where she's been, you know, exhibited everywhere from the Philly Museum of Art to Virginia Museum of Fine Arts Richmond, obviously, you know, in New York City at the Museum of Modern Art, Alice and Jack Gallery in London, which I would have loved to see. I missed it last year. The COVID pandemic was weird in London at the time, and I didn't go. Many galleries. Her quilts can be found in public collections across the country, including the Dallas Museum of Art, the High Museum in Atlanta, Huntington Library, the Met. Several of her quilts are actually at the Met. National Gallery of Art, which is how I found this, right? Because I was searching for quilts in the National Gallery of Art, and then one of the things that came up was that they did a show and perhaps an interview with Mary Lee Bendolf, because they acquired one of her quilts recently. Philly, the Phillips Collection in D.C., Virginia Museum of Fine Arts, among many others. And, oh, that's interesting. Okay, the gallery would like to extend special thanks to Reuben Bendolf Jr. and the Mount Holyoke College of Art for their trust and collaboration in producing this exhibition. And I was thinking about, so I came across Mary Lee Bendolf, right? Like I said, as I was looking at the National Gallery of Art. And then I was thinking about how we looked at Mary Gasbrick, and it's like we did kind of this deeper dive on a single quilt maker, and I don't know, when I think about how much there is out there to look at, when you just look at one person, it's really endless. Because as a quilt maker myself, I haven't made that many quilts. A lot of you have made many more quilts than I have. But, everybody really, they have a story. Everybody has a story. This is her signature, which I think is just kind of a nice detail. It almost looks like one of those drawings, the national art drawings. But, we all have these rich lives, and I think that's, and so you look at one person and you really see them through their quilts. Mary Gasbrick did her thing. Mary Lee Bendolf is doing her thing. I love that in that gallery they were showing work after 2000. That's awesome. I didn't know that. But one of the things that gets said a lot, is like, or actually no, what we said at Quilt Folk, and I said frequently, was that Quilt Folk tells the story of the whole quilter, because as quilt makers, we get sort of talked about, if you know what I mean, as quilters, like we're quilters who love to quilt, right? Okay, yeah. But we're people first. We're people first. And the quilts that we make, we make for a certain reason, because it's our perspective on the world, it's our artistic expression, whatever. And so Quilt Folk is really great because you profile the person and their quilts. We're interested more. And I think Quilter's newsletter did that too, where you profile a person. Let us introduce you to this quilt maker, and you learn about them and then also the quilts that they make. And in the work of Mary Lee Bendolf, in the work of Mary Gasbrick, you see a person, you sort of get the sense of, I don't know, just their perspective on the world. You can't possibly know them. You can't possibly, know their thoughts and their feelings, but you see their output in their quilts. And it's just so, and I think that's why people say quilts have a soul, or whatever. And why many of us, this was a bed. I found this, it was inspired by G's Bend, some bed thing, I don't know, whatever. But you get a sense of a person. And I think that's why people who can't cut quilts up, or people who admit that how bad it is to cut up a quilt, that's what they're talking about. It has this presence of the person who makes it. The person who made the quilt is in the quilt. It just is. I suppose it's the same for a potter. A potter who makes, I have a couple hand-thrown, objects. I've met a potter in Nevada for Quilt Folk and talked to him, and he's so great. And he had this whole story about his pottery and the land on which they made it. And there's soul in that, and it's like, well, it's just when you do something like a quilt or a pottery piece or whatever, it's really, really true that it means something more than it's like the sum of its parts is more than the sum of its parts, right? So I like kind of looking at the work of one person, sometimes. I don't know. Like, Mary Lee Bendolf has made quilts for a long time, so this is an experienced artist. And that's true. But there's also just raw talent. Like, this like very thin piece. Anytime there's a very thin piece, I couldn't do it myself. I don't know. I just can't make really detailed things happen in my quilts yet. Like really thin pieces, they just end up looking kind of like crunched, This is a book that is out there that's purchasable on Amazon, Aid Books and all of that. Quilting politic. Yeah, let me get into the chat. Sue says, you always come back to the same feeling. It's organic. Right? Because it's an extension of our hands. And I've said before that, you know, when you make a quilt using a sewing machine, it's still by hand. I mean, you use your hands to, and in terms of technology, you know, like a needle is technology, a pencil is technology, a hoop is technology. We have technology that's like real fancy now, but the machine does not act on its own. The hands work the machine, right? The hands work the needle, the hands work the machine. If you're making a quilt in your home or in your studio, one at a time, you are making that quilt by hand. And some weird thing, you know, and it really, it's not that weird. We're just, everybody's afraid of everything, right? And sorry, I'm getting a little bit abstract here. Let me put a beautiful Mary Lee Bendolf quilt here on the screen. But like, there's a book, it's pretty famous, Alvin Toffler, I think. It's called Future Shock, okay? Future Shock. It was published like, I don't know, in the 70s, maybe even in the 60s. But basically, it was published a long time ago, and the author talks about how technology and modernity, whatever, is moving so quickly now that a phenomenon called future shock can happen to a person, where a person who was born in 1950 can look around in 2020 and be like sort of paralyzed by how different the world is than when they grew up. I mean, I was born in like 1980, almost. And I mean, I remember clicking the chunky channel, you know, dial on the television and moving the antenna to try to get better reception. I mean, I remember that. I'm a Zennial. It's a very weird, cool time to be born. And I remember when the internet came when I was in high school, you know, but now it's even faster. So we have this like future shock where we kind of are disoriented as we age by how different everything is, and it's just faster and faster and faster, right? And so I think people get, and this is why quilts in particular, this authenticity that they have, this you know, this soul quality. Mary Gasbrook's quilts have soul in them, right? She was stitching in her frame. Mary Lee Bendolf, I think I have a picture in here of her stitching in a frame. It's a different rhythm when you think about someone making something. It doesn't, you don't need a screen to make a quilt, right? Whatever. So I think when people think, you know, because I've said, you know, I make quilts, you know, to someone, like on an airplane, say I'm like talking to someone on an airplane, yeah, I make quilts. And many times that person will say, oh, do you make them by hand? And I'm like, yes, I mean, I use a sewing machine. And the person, you can't really fault them for it, but they'll say like, they'll be a little disappointed, it seems, that they really want to hear that I sew by candlelight, which we know was not even a thing. But we sew by candlelight, and you know, with a hoop, and maybe we're wearing a bonnet or something. And it's because I think of this like future shock thing. It's like we yearn for things to be a little bit simpler, you know. And there's that saying that the good old days weren't really very good. So like, let's not romanticize the good old days. But it is true that maybe more people had, I don't know if I can say that, if more people had more time to make quilts. I don't know that that's true. But anyway, you know what I'm saying? I'm getting a little, hey, yeah, Maryland. Okay, Robin is in Maryland, and you know people who are in the next issue of Quilt Folk. That is oh, you're in New Jersey, and Baltimore Album Applique, etc. I did an article on the Baltimore Applique Society. What lovely people they are. And so that's great. I love that you know friends in there. It'll be wonderful. It'll be wonderful. Yeah, Teacher Stitch, D. Marie, noticing that there's great diversity in Mary Lee Bendolf's designs. Totally, there's no color that she is not like ready to work with. Whoops, sorry. This is one of my favorites. This is an older one. Yeah, these like sovereign blocks, you know, these different units that are very specific. I mean, you know, it's interesting. It's interesting because not all of her quilts are block based. It seems. I mean, is that true? Hold on. Yeah, I mean, just straight up block based. No, unit based, yes. Like here, here's a unit or a block, okay, block. But then this is kind of a sort of a sashing spacer kind of thing. You could call it a block. But then here it's offset, And I think that's one of the things that she does it's so engaging. It's like, to me, it would be hard. We look at construction sometimes, like it's this piece right here I'm looking at, like this joint. And it's like, I don't know. Have you done improv piecing? Is this a thing that you have done? I have not done it. I have not. I have never kind of just winged it. But I've tried to join blocks that didn't, like I took a bunch of loose blocks and put them together for a quilt for my friend Sophie, and it turned out great, but it almost broke me, because I had to figure out how to like add however much fabric to this block to get it to fit with the next one. But, a lot of people really, really know what they're doing on this. Obviously, Lee Bendolf does. But I love this quilt. This one I could maybe, I could maybe do something with this in my own way. Is that my last one? Really? Okay, yeah, it is. So units, yeah, units. Yeah. You love this one so much. Same, Myra. I just totally love it. You love doing improv. Little Bird Stitch loves it. Quilting, Sue calls her, I call my method, yeah, you can't do random units or blocks, yeah. Okay, Quiltish has done a ton of improv. Yep, and heck, someone asked me if I made quilts by hand. I would respond, yeah, how else would you make them? Thank you. And same with long armors, a long-armed quilt, like, it's so hard to do it right. Ivana, if you're still here, if I haven't, it's midnight, I think are you on the East Coast? Anyway. Long arming, like I did a demo. I practiced on a machine a couple times in my life, and it's so much fun. But anyone who's ever had a quilt long armed or long arms themselves, this is like, it's a skill. It's a skill like hand quilting is a skill, so it's by hand, obviously. Look at the hands that are running the long arm machine, And Susan Armichael always does improv. She's so legit. And Robin has also done improv. You stick your scraps together from each quilt and just keep adding to it. It's called memories. Yes, or crumb piecing too, Teacher Stitch mentioned. Yeah, that's great. That's great. You keep it called memories. I love that. That's awesome. Okay, now. So it is midnight, but I'm not stopping. I'm not. It's Saturday night. I'm awake. You're awake. People are in the chat, and I'm going to do it. Because Miriam Shapiro, I don't have as much about her, I don't have as much to read about her, but I want to tell you about her because you remember when we talked about the artist and the quilt. Let me pull that up first. Hang on. You remember this? This. Again, the artist and the quilt. I think that's why I was thinking, the corn. We talked about the corn earlier, Bonnie. This was the quilt, and I remember, was it Charles? I need to get in touch with Charles. Where's Charles? But this quilt was the Miriam Shapiro quilt that was made, in that weird thing, that artist and the quilt project, right? Where the corn came from. They were inspired by the corn thing. Okay. So the artists drew something, and then the quilt makers executed it, in their quilt way. It was totally weird and problematic in sort of an artistic way. But this is one of the quilts. This is a quilt that was rendered. I should have gotten the name of the person who did it. I did not. But Miriam Shapiro is the artist who designed the art that was then made into this quilt, okay? And maybe it was because I was thinking of the corn earlier, or maybe it was because I saw an amazing exhibit today at the MCA. Can't go to Boston, but masked and distanced, Eric and I were like, let's go and see some art before we maybe can't for a while. I don't know. So I saw some wonderful art, and I can share it with you at some point, but maybe on the Discord I will. But it was very pattern and decoration to me. And so I was thinking about the pattern and decoration movement and quilts and all of that. And I was like, you know what? I need to show the Quilt Nerd's Miriam Shapiro. Some of you will know about her. Word and Bird Nerd, it's 1 a.m. I know. You gotta prep. You gotta bake, sew, clean, convert the sewing room back to a guest room. Damn. Before the family starts arriving soon. Good night, my dear. And listen, Tuesday, the show is at 9 a.m. Central. So if you've got some time, if you've got some stuff to do, people are sleeping, pop in those headphones. And I'll be doing a show. So 9 a.m. Central on Tuesday is the next show. And if it works for you, we would love to have you. I'm thrilled that you're here, and good luck. You got this. Okay. So I just want to show you. Let me pull. This is the first Miriam Shapiro work that I ever saw, and that I ever understood to be, relevant to the quilt thing. Okay, this is called Wonderland. I'm going to read you about this woman from her obituary in the New York Times, okay? Oh, bus station. Oh, the kid number 1 is coming in on a bus. Listen, I don't know if they're taking the megabus, but megabus. If you're a kid, it's a great way to travel. It's like $1 a ticket. Okay, so Miriam Shapiro died at age 91 in 2015, okay? And her obituary says, Miriam Shapiro, 91, a feminist artist who harnessed craft and pattern, dies. Okay. So the thing I remember about this piece, which obviously has quilt blocks rendered here, okay? But also, if you'll notice, you see these aprons. There are aprons and embroidery, pieces of embroidery on this quilt too. Or on this painting. It's a painting. It's huge too. I didn't find how huge it is, but it's very big. And I remember reading that this woman, Miriam Shapiro, who made this, created this term, femage, F-E-M-M-A-G-E, femage, like collage, but femage. So now I'm going to read to you this thing. It's a celebration, Susan or Michael, 1000%. It's a celebration of textiles and pattern, rendered on canvas. Okay. So from William Grimes's Obit. There's a great documentary called Obit. Have you seen it? It's about the writers of the obituaries at the New York Times. It's really good. It's really good. You should watch it. Obit. So Miriam Shapiro, a pioneering feminist artist who, with Judy Chicago, created the landmark installation Woman House in Los Angeles in the early 1970s. And later that decade helped found the pattern and decoration movement. Died on Saturday in New York. Ms. Shapiro, who broke through as a second generation I've got so many, you remember Jeffrey Gutchin and his fan quilt? It was sort of an inverted fan thing. Miriam Shapiro was doing it before the Gutch. But before she was doing the femage pattern decoration thing, she was doing this amazing, this is on, not plastic or vellum, but it's, on lucite or something. So this is Miriam Shapiro. This is earlier in her career. It's so great. Oh, she's so talented. Ms. Shapiro broke through as a second-generation abstract artist in the late 1950s, embraced feminism in the early 1970s, and made it the foundation of her work and career. From that point, she dedicated herself. Let me show you. This is a famous work. It's called Big Ox. Are you dead? Ah, it's so good. Big Ox. 69 something. That thing, that she is a feminist, let me put it this way, that she is a feminist artist, identified as a feminist artist, is well, yeah. You know what I mean? There's just, I love this piece. It's so good. It's so good. It's everything. It's everything. It's a mood. It's a mood. Isn't it wonderful? You get it. Sue gets it. Oh, yay, Giovanna. I'm so glad. It's Saturday night. I'm so glad you're still here. It's oh God, maybe it's too late. And this is our last chapter, but who knows how long we could be. Okay, so Big Ox. It's just freaking amazing. Okay. So, here's a little early work as well. Quote, Mimi came to feminism later than most of us, in early middle age. Unquote, said Joyce Kozloff, one of Miss Shapiro's allies in the pattern and decoration movement. Joyce continues, it shook her world, the feminist movement, transformed her into a radical thinker. She was a vocal, outspoken presence, a force. In 1971, at the newly created California Institute of the Arts, CalArts, she and Ms. Chicago founded the Feminist Art Program. It quickly became an important center for formulating and disseminating a new understanding of art based on women's history and social experience. That year, they enlisted 21 students to create Woman House. Yeah, taking over. This is, I didn't put any pictures of Woman House in here, but they took over a decaying Hollywood mansion that made an effective set for dramatizing the American home as a prison for women and their dreams. Intense, man. Woman House, there's a whole book about it. Look at this. It's so trippy. Okay, so soon afterward, Ms. Shapiro began incorporating decorative scraps of fabric, ribbon, and trim, and later entire handkerchiefs, doilies, or aprons in acrylic paintings she called femages. The intent was to honor the silent, centuries-old work of women engaged in humble tasks like sewing and knitting, or, as she put it in a 1977 interview, quote, to choose something considered trivial in the culture and transform it into a heroic form. Pretty groovy, right? So groovy. I know. This is so great. I love this one. Mary Lee Bendolf and Miriam Shapiro both got short shrift because I did not have time, because I was down the rabbit hole earlier, like an hour before the show, gathering all these images, and I did not have time to label everything. So I'm sorry, I can't tell you when this was made or what it's called, but man, and it looks like a buzz saw, like a wood saw too. This it's tough. I love it. So great. In the mid-70s, she and Robert Zankatich, look at that patchwork down there, joined with a group of artists, including Ms. Kozloff, Robert Kushner, and Valerie Jowden, in the movement they called pattern and decoration. That's a proper noun, pattern and decoration, capital P, capital D. Rejecting the austerity of minimalism, yay, and conceptual art, yay. Just this let's just be so minimalist. Let's not even exist, like this total complete separation from the body, It's just all about the mind and this Apollonian sort of cognition, it's like this what I love about pattern and decoration is, and the quilts, it's no, it's messy. Life is complicated. It's messy. It's it's got lots of parts and lots of pieces, and it's a patchwork, And minimalism is all about no, life can be clean and simple, and we can sort of cheat death. You know what I mean? I'm getting kind of weird tonight, but it's true. And I like quilts, and I like pattern and decoration. Oh, Big Ox. I like this stuff because it's just more complicated. And you can tell me all day that a Rothko or a Barnett Newman, you can tell me that these are complicated, deep things. And yeah, okay. A lot of that work is sublime, it's great. But it's not messy. And me, I don't know about you, but it's pretty messy over here, And so, of course, women were behind the pattern and decoration movement. It's yeah, well, it's complicated, okay? So let's make art that's complicated a little bit more. There's more pattern, and decoration. Anyway, yes, it is Raffle Waffle. Interesting to see her work compared to later work, 1,000%. And sorry, okay. A lot, you go into an art gallery, or a museum, and it's like you do see some work sometimes, and you're like, I could do that. I could probably do that because it's a splatter or whatever. But the way I see it is that artists who are accomplished enough and experienced enough, even if you don't like their art, to get into a major museum show. I mean, the artist who does the splatter paint or the neon, like Tracy Emin, which we'll talk about her, of course, like soon enough, but like, neon signs that are words, whatever. Some of it seems sort of simple, but then you look at the artist and you look at the body of work and their training and their experience. I mean, Tracy Emin, who makes quilts that are, who did for a period of time, are amazing. She is an amazing drawer. I mean, an illustrator. She's a painter. And so she does stuff in neon, and she does these like crazy quilts that are like, yeah, I guess we could all probably put something like that together pretty easily, but it's not, it's the sum total of her experience that goes into each of these pieces. So Miriam Shapiro is making these fans or whatever, but she's also an abstract painter. Lee Bendolf, she creates these sublime pieces of art, but it's not, it's like, well, it's improv piecing. Well, yeah, but no. It's all intentional. Lee Bendolf is not sitting there being like, well, I guess I'll do this, and I guess I'll do this, and oh, wow, it was great. Like, are you kidding me? Every moment is intentional. It may be improvisational, but it's 1000% intentional. That's what makes her Lee Bendolf. And the rest of us just like, oh, here's my improv quilt. Not to say that you're not all geniuses, of course, but this idea that improv piecing is just sort of willy-nilly, you're missing the point entirely. It's about, even you could say improv quilting and making patchwork is actually even more, I think it is Michael Jackson. It really looks like him, Nancy. It really does. But like, it's even more intentional, you could say, than a pattern quilt. If you're working from a pattern, the choices have been made for you. Your fabric choices are yours. But I mean, to make a piece of quilt work without a pattern means you are making more choices. You're deciding more things than a quilt with a pattern. There's nothing wrong with a quilt with a pattern, you know what I'm saying, Anyway. Okay, let's continue. This is not too much left here, but okay, here we go. We have the Q word is coming up. Rejecting the austerity of minimalism and the conceptual art. Its members, the pattern and decoration movement members, incorporated decorative elements drawn from sources as varied as Amish quilts, Islamic tile work, and wallpaper. The goal was provocative, to break down the traditional boundaries between high art and craft, and to validate the decorative pattern work that female hands had applied to ceramics and textiles throughout the ages. Oh, look at this one. Oh, fabulous. Look, $18.99. Okay. Miriam Shapiro. Let's see. Her early work, yep. It's all decision-making. Susan, you're making improvisationally piece quilts. You know this. It's all decision-making. Every single piece you put down is a decision. Here's a little bit about the woman to do this. Miriam Shapiro, known as Mimi, was born in 1923 in Toronto and grew up in the Flatbush neighborhood of Brooklyn. After graduating from the Erasmus, I love this piece. I don't know why I like the circle ones. After graduating from Erasmus Hall High School, she enrolled in Hunter College but transferred to the University of Iowa, my alma mater, bam, where she studied under printmaker Mauricio Lazansky. She got her bachelor's degree in graphic art. God, that's awesome. Oh, I trod the same campus as Miriam Shapiro. Amazing. She got her master's in fine art in 1949. She married her fellow art student, Paul, at Iowa, and moved to New York. There, Shapiro exhibited her large, exuberant paintings, which included landscape and portrait elements. In the 1957 installment of New Talent, there's the quilt, New Talent show at the Museum of Modern Art. Okay, wow, that's pretty. So she was 30. She was, 23. She was 30. She was almost 40 when she had her first big show. Okay, so they're talking a little. Look at this. This is 1967. That's a poster from a show that she had, a solo show in 1967. Okay, I'm skipping some of this. She was Jewish. I don't know that they mentioned that, but I think that was worked into her quilt. I mean, her work in certain ways. Look at this. Yeah, I mean, pattern and decoration. Obviously, this is, what's happening here. It's like Quilt Nerd. It is what it is. It's just, that's what it is. It's pattern and decoration. Okay, Okay, the work served as a dress rehearsal. This is about Woman House. Served as a dress rehearsal for her later explorations of fabric in pattern in works like Anonymous Was a Woman, a series of etchings in the mid-1970s that showed embroidered antimascars and doilies. We saw some of those, right? Later, she produced lavishly decorated Valentine hearts and fans. The new work, which led to a split with her dealer in 1976, was sometimes dismissed as sentimental, a critique she rebutted enthusiastically. Yeah, look at this, Valentine's. I didn't know about the Valentine thing. That's so great. The Valentine thing is so great. Sue, I love that. Oh, that's really good. Yeah, Valentine. Oh, it's so great that it's a Valentine. This is a background I could get behind. Look at that. How trippy is that? Okay. So here's what she says after this break with her art dealer. Miriam Shapiro, quote, "Men think that sentiment is not valid. Women think that sentiment is important. Some men suppress their feelings. Some women explore theirs. Sentimentality, for me, is a very powerful idea." Unquote. There's a lot there. It's great. It's true. Some men suppress their feelings. Not all men. She didn't say men suppress their feelings. Women do this. No, not all of them on either side. But it's true that sentimentality and like romance or whatever are just like, ugh, you're being sentimental. Like sentimental? How powerful is sentimentality? You feel sentimental about something. It's extremely moving. Why is that cheapened? I love that she's like, well, by the way, being sentimental is like totally cool. Okay, thank you, Quiltish. Yes, exactly, Raffle. Anti-mascars are the lace squares on the back of chairs to keep hair oil off the upholstery. Can we get where's the, you need a, you know what you need? You need a nerd apple for that. Am I right? I mean, that's like a nerd apple. We have special emotes here. And you also need the learning emote. I mean, you know what an anti-mascar? I don't know if I'm saying it right, but good job. Okay, here's the last of this. This is interesting. In the 1980s, well, that's it. I kind of time these things right. I don't practice it ahead of time, but okay. In the 1980s, Ms. Shapiro turned to dance as a subject. She later produced a series of paintings that engaged female artists of the past, notably Frida Kahlo. Let's go to the quilt to end up. The focus of several works with mythic overtones. The monumental Diva, 1999, originally intended for the Bellagio Hotel in Vegas, celebrated the black contralto and civil rights heroine Marian Anderson. Nice. Ms. Shapiro, whose work was the subject of several traveling retrospectives, wrote 2 books, Women in the Creative Process and Rondo, an artist book, 1974 and 88, respectively. And Mr. Kushner, who was part of her group, the Pattern and Decoration Movement, said, quote, "She had her vision, and it was damn the torpedoes, full speed ahead. On the one hand, the work was very carefully calibrated, but there was also something spontaneous and a little wacky. She had her own truth." Unquote. Cool, man. What noise was I making about not doing that? Skipping Miriam Shapiro? Are you crazy? So it's 12:20 a.m. Thanks, Gerd. It is a delight to be with you every single time. Early in the morning, late at night, it doesn't matter. I got some sound effects. Hang on. I pulled some sound effects up, and I was gonna get him in the soundboard. I was gonna get him in this my little thing, but I didn't because I was reading about Mary Lee Bendolf. But I'm gonna play them for you. So when when something is really great or somebody does something really great, I'm gonna play this. I'm gonna play this sound. Wait, no. Will you play? Will you do it? Hang on. Yeah? Okay. Oh no! That's okay, that's the music. Okay, but then if somebody does something that's, I don't know, it'll probably play at all kinds of funny times. How about this? And so it'll be great. So then I can just, when somebody's misbehaving, or not somebody in the chat, I just mean like, if somebody says something crappy about Shapiro, it's like, oh yeah? It's a soundboard. I think it's time. I think it's time for the soundboard. So that's coming. That'll be there on Tuesday morning. What sound effects might we have? Oh, I really like this little, look, it's like I have angel wings. Oh yes. Ooh. Thanks everybody. Thank you for sticking in there. And listen, I know this week, like officially, lots of prep and things. I have a little bit of shopping left to do, like a little bit, I don't know. But if you're making stuff, cleaning stuff, doing whatever, I know it's really scary right now. Like it's just like the worst timing ever for a viral surge. And we're living with a pandemic, and now we have to like pivot, and it sucks. Just be safe and do what you need to do. And I canceled the thing. I was the one who made the call. I was like, Mom, we cannot go. We cannot go to go see a museum show for fun on Tuesday. We just can't. And it was really hard to break that news. But if you have to break the news to somebody this week, I feel you. I get it. It is lousy times a million zillion. But you gotta be safe and you gotta do what you can. So if you have to break the news, listen, I'm gonna tell you something. Oh, thank you for following, Senhor. We have tickets to go see A Christmas Carol at the Goodman Theater. We do it every year. If Eric and I are like, we just can't do it, it will be a huge drag. And right now we're like, I don't know. So I get it, and so many people do, and just take care of yourself. You don't want everybody else. So anyway, I just wanted to say that because this week is when people are going to be making decisions and stuff like that. But you're not alone. Everyone is miserable about that kind of thing. So you love the late night Saturday night show. Okay, good night to you. Listen, Raffle Waffle, Elaine, everybody, I so appreciate you. And Padme, the dogs are going to howl. You should take a recording of the dogs howling, and I'll add it to the police siren. Okay. See y'all, everybody. See you. Adore you. Everybody in Lisa and Cheryl and Shane and everybody at